Hello, welcome to our Dublin Conversations, and today we're with Steve Davies. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thanks very much, Andy. Yes, Steve Davies. I'm the Chief Executive of the Advertising Producers Association. That's the trade body for commercials production companies in the UK, which itself is a fantastic community and a very successful business, world leading, I would say.
Thank you for joining us today, and obviously you have great expertise and experience in the world of communications and say particularly advertising now. Can I also get onto our share screen and take you through what we call the 5 steps to Dublin, and to really get your thoughts on these ideas. So the context is that the communications industries have used thinking that's emerged from the media business models of the last 200 years, ideas like advertising, journalism, marketing, public relations, and more, based on emerged from these business models, which have been profoundly disrupted by digital technology. Yet we also now have a new understanding of how our brains work and society functions. And could we use this new knowledge to create a new way forward without the preconceptions and boundaries of existing thinking to guide how we think and socially interact? So if we can co-create new ideas to do both our jobs better and rise to the challenge of tackling society's big issues of growing distrust, divisive tribalism, and not being able to come together to tackle the big challenges we face. What if we can unlearn some of our existing thinking, discarding ineffective, outdated ideas, while embracing fresh concepts and new insights? So let's have a Dublin conversation and take the 5 steps to the Dublin window state. So step one, the idea that you need to create confidence and be purposeful. So what we understand to be reality is a perception, after breathing, eating, and so on. Managing the perceptions of others, of future behaviours, and creating confidence is an important human function. You need to have confidence in what you perceive and believe to be reality. You need confidence in who you are and your purpose. You need to earn the confidence of others in your purposefulness, how you help not hurt them. And also, confidence or lack of creates peace, wars, financial success, failure, and more. Any thoughts on that? Those ideas, Steve?
I'm interested in the whole idea of confidence because people are always told to be confident, but to me, competence has to come before confidence, and you have to know what you're talking about. So when I tell the staff, as we give advice to members on contracts, productions, and things like this, I always say to be confident about what you know, but don't guess the rest of it. I don't want you to be taking. It's like if I'm confident I can fly, then I can't fly. So there's a lot of sort of self-help stuff about being confident that I think misses that point about competence first, which is I think critical. I also think a thing like earning confidence is interesting. I mean, I say this to young people that if you just do what you say you're going to do in work, for example, you establish confidence in you because a lot of people don't do that. If you say to somebody on the phone, "I'll send you that report tomorrow," and you always do it, you establish confidence in you because it's remarkable number of people who just can't manage those basics. They might be incredibly smart, but the basics of reliability, trust, confidence, they don't do very well.
Okay, thank you, Steve. So next step would be that if you need to successfully interact with others, this has been ideas inspired by the work of behavioural psychologists such as Daniel Kahneman and Robert Cialdini. To successfully connect with others, there's 5 key dimensions. You need to be known and noticed, liked, trusted, front of mind, and being talked about. In terms of those sort of dimensions, Steve, do you think that sort of provides a framework, a structure for how to successfully interact? In fact, some would say it frames any brief. Any thoughts on that at all?
I think that those are all interesting. I think things like known and noticed and trusted are kind of the obvious ones most advertising or PR professionals will talk about. But I think being liked is really critically important because you want people to take people with you, and you take people with you by being reliable, honest, open, and therefore being liked. Being front of mind, I think, is critically valuable. We all see that when you bump into somebody you haven't known for a while, they're much more likely to talk to you about some business opportunity in the week after that than before.
Yeah.
Because you've moved from the back of the mind, not to the front, probably where their family and other important things are, but further up. And I always quote Woody Allen, who says 80% of success in life is turning up. And I think, of course, you've got to turn up and be competent, but I think there's a great deal of truth in that.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And then the third stage is about you interact with other people by connecting through using 5 key choices. And these provide a strategy. So your own is both your own self, your own reputation, even your time. Spending time with someone can earn trust with them, as well as your owned media channels. Paid for, anything you have to pay in order to connect with others. Earned, where you earn the right to gain their attention through either editorial coverage or search engine optimization. And nudge, where you use the latest from behavioral science to influence to make it easier to guide people around the choices you like them to adopt. And shared, where you share a communal media, and it's not just new technology in social media, but we would say like the graffiti on the walls in ancient Rome was an early form of shared media. Any thoughts about those sort of choices in terms of really guiding how you connect with others?
Well, I suppose if you think about it in terms of a brand, I mean, what we do at the APA is we have personal connections with people. We know them personally. We've built up trust over the years, and we respect each other. But if you're a bigger brand and you're selling your services or products to hundreds of thousands of people or something, of course you can't do that. That's just impossible. So in their instance, you've got to really rely more on paid for media. But you might these days try and make it look more like your friend relationships. If we look at the sort of tweeting of something like Specsavers, who tweeted yesterday, if you're wondering how often you should have your eyes checked, it's about once every 4 Watford managers. Now, that's funny, and it's also the sort of thing that people would say to their mates, and so they're making the brand more like the personal connection, which is obviously a smart thing to do. But it depends on the scale of your business, which of those is the most important, I guess.
But nonetheless, provide a useful framework for
Absolutely. Yeah.
So step 4 is that really that having done that, you need to listen, connect, do, which is a very simple but profound model about how creativity works. It's a process of you listen, connect, do, and that motivated and driven. It's a continual process driven by a sense of purpose. The label comms has emerged, which is a term bigger than integrated communication, as it includes like managing behaviours and purposefulness and social cohesion. And there's also, from the work of sociologists such as Nicholas Christakis, profound insights. They've been able to establish what equivalent of basic human laws, and one of these is that 2 out of 3 people will help a stranger. It means 1 out of 3 don't, which has led to the Dublin conversations, the idea of we-led thinking, where there's an instinct where your first response is to think of others first, and me-led thinking, where you think of self-interest first. So the whole idea of emergence, how important do you think that is in terms of listening to your environment and adapting to your environment? And some points there about comms and we-led and me-led thinking. So any thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm interested in the comms, the word comms. I think it's generally been good because it makes everyone realise that every communication is really a part of the brand and needs to be thought about, whether it's internal, external. So I think it's probably changed people's thinking a bit. In terms of we-led and me-led, well, I'm in a business where I serve the interests of production companies who join the APA. And so I'm a very we-led person, which probably makes me better at that job. And that's what my role is. But I think even if you aren't, even if you're just selling a can of drinks or something, you really need to think about the other people the whole time to get somewhere. Or, if you're doing a talk or a presentation, because you can sort of move one to the other. I mean, I always think like, would I want this? Would I like to hear this? Would this interest me? If the answer is no, then it's going down the wrong track.
So some insights there that to reflect about. Okay, Steve. So last step is that having earning confidence, create confidence, being purposeful, being known, like trusted, front of mind, being talked about, using the 5 opens choices, and then listen to what emerges for you. You need to be driven by respecting purposeful trust. So purposeful is different from purpose in that it's purposeful is how you help others. And purposeful trust is that area where you're not distrusting or over trusting. It enables you to be open to others. And we believe it's precious because it enables social cohesion. And without it, we cannot exist, cooperate, or collaborate. So going forward, the communications industry not only needs to look at how it maybe use its skills and talents and resources to influence people, but also that at the same time as you're seeking to influence, you also invest in social cohesion. So I just want to hear any thoughts about this idea of like raising the significance of this idea of purposeful trust and the need to invest in it at all times.
Yeah, well, I think you need to trust some people in life, but you need to neither distrust nor trust probably the majority. But where you get to a situation where you know you can rely on people is, where people are generally acting in our business and maybe in other business from a sort of sense of enlightened self-interest. So whatever they're giving for themselves and for everybody else, and also they're all invested in their reputation. So when I deal with somebody in my business, I'm fairly confident that they're going to be telling me an accurate picture, etc. First of all, because they're good people, but secondly, because if they were to be dishonest or deceitful, that would be far more damaging to their personal brand than otherwise. So there's a strong there's a strong business case for being for establishing you're someone to be trusted, and not just because you want to be trusted, but because without that you're lacking fundamental credibility. So you can assume that other people also think like that, and largely in a situation, then you can see that probably you're likely to be able to trust them.
So that fundamental credibility, could the term confidence that be used for that to describe that? As you say,
It could be. I mean, I suppose, people having confidence in you rather than necessarily in that sense, more than you having, it's more important than you having confidence about yourself, I would argue, really.
Yeah. So there's potential really to explore this idea of confidence in its.
Yeah, but I don't know whether you call it confidence or trust, really. I mean, in that sense, it's more trust, isn't it? Because when people talk about confidence, they're always thinking about their own external confidence.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone through the 5 steps where we've provided you with an alternative way of understanding the mechanics and how communications and social interactions work. How do you feel like having done the 5 steps?
Well, I think it's very interesting. The whole concept is very interesting. I mean, I think it's always said that if a client has a problem or a challenge, if it goes to a PR company, the answer is PR. If it goes to an agency, the answer is advertising. If it goes to a law firm, the answer is some sort of legal action, etc. And it's hard for us all to escape from this. And I'm aware of that myself because I'm a lawyer, and I'm aware that even though I've learned other things, the foundations of my thinking are still my legal training. So that is always my sort of mental starting point, if you like. And so I'm sure other people are the same. And we try and, so to me, I've tried to unlearn that to a degree, to think whatever is the best answer here. And I suspect I've partially, but not fully succeeded in that. And I'm sure other people are in the same position. But I think the unlearning idea is really smart.
Thank you. Is there one or more things that the Dublin conversation should be doing different?
I don't think there's anything should be doing different. I think it's a fascinating project. I think it's very wide-ranging. It's, I'm sure, distilling the thoughts of 231 people on discussion topics is extremely difficult because it's not like you've done multiple choice or something. The analysis will be more interesting than a multiple choice, but a lot more challenging to distill, I suspect.
And going forward, what action steps do we need to take?
Well, I think like anything we're hoping for action on, it somehow needs to be distilled into something very simple and understandable that people can follow and apply and have some follow-up with. So it's sort of dynamic and they're looking at their behaviour over a period of time. So it doesn't just get a situation where people say, well, that's an interesting report, I've read that, go back So I think it needs to be ongoing, but I thought it needs to be very clear and simple in terms of action points at the outset.
Steve, let me come up for the slideshow now. A massive thank you from the Dublin Conversations for your profound and helpful insights there. And thank you so much for helping us on our journey.
Pleasure, Andy. It's fantastic you're doing this. It's really an interesting and ambitious project.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.